All
Well,
righty. Welcome everybody to again Real Talk Gaming, as third time hopefully is a charm. We are talking about the buyouts that have happened in January, as alluded to from the previous one and the previous one. And we're basically just discussing what this really means for the gaming industry going forward and what this means for each separate each separate brand, whether it be for Microsoft, Sony, or heck, even Nintendo. Right? We've have discussed that Microsoft buying Activision, Blizzard, and King for about $80 billion. Um, that's a lot of content there. That's Call of Duty, that's Crash, that's of course Candy Crush for mobile devices, that's Warcraft. That's a lot of gaming titles. But as we had mentioned, and we were discussing going into, okay, so they're talking about it not necessarily being exclusively to one company, that it's still going to be multi-platform. And I had what I was mentioning, that hey, what could this possibly mean, though? There's a lot more collaborating going on, which is always great, but can be scary. As now, if everyone does start collaborating, sure, it's great for the gamers, but for future content, maybe might be a little lackluster in terms of how certain games are developed, which was my kind of issue for maybe the longer run of things. And you had been discussing something, Jeff, but you were cutting in and out. So please elaborate on what you kind of think um, about either the Microsoft buyout or just these buyouts specifically that have been going on just this past month.
first of all, I just want to. I feel like the guy from the Horizon commercials. Can you hear me now?
I can hear you now. Now we're
Okay,
good.
good.
We're good to
Okay,
go.
good.
And you're
All
not, and
right.
we're not even on Verizon. Look at that.
So, yeah, as I was saying before, as far as the buyouts are concerned, I mean, look, buyouts happen all the time. It's nothing new.
Mhm.
But it's this. What's interesting is obviously Call of Duty is the big thing for Activision, right?
Right.
I mean, World of Warcraft is huge. Let's not downplay that.
Right.
But having Call of Duty multi-platform, I think would make sense on a business level. But anything other than that, uh, I would say if I were Microsoft, because your goal, like if it was me, I don't know about you, Justin, but if it was me, I'm gonna want to try to have players come into my platform as much as I can.
Right.
So
Mhm.
if I can make a game like Diablo exclusive to PC or console, if I can make a game like World of Warcraft on console or PC without a subscription, that's just gonna bring players into my bubble. You know what I mean? Into my onto my platform, because Game Pass is the future for Microsoft. I think there, there's no doubt about that. That's what it is. It's Game Pass. You
Right.
know, so even Call of
Well,
Duty
and
making
and
it multi-platform.
yeah, I was just gonna say, well, PlayStation has obviously seen the success of Game Pass, right? Them wanting to
Right.
rebrand into their own form of Game Pass. PS Now wasn't working, just because it's not as good as Game Pass. I guess it's not as polished as Game Pass is. Game Pass is
Right.
really seamless, and ultimately gave Xbox a lot of subscriptions due to that. But I don't necessarily maybe agree with um, them wanting to. I get why. I get why you would say, well, of course, I want them to come to my platform, but at the same time, you have to get your money somehow. And I forget about Call of Duty. Call of Duty, I don't see just being on Xbox. You okay?
Yeah, I'm good. I'm good.
You're good. Call of Duty, I don't see that going anywhere. I see that being completely off every platform, and maybe there might be a few little things that Xbox might be like, hey, Xbox exclusive for, I don't know, certain skins or a certain extra play mode that maybe you can't get on the PlayStation. But
Yeah,
ultimately,
like
I just think
DLC and updates. That would make sense being let's say exclusive of some sort, some kind of thing. Yeah.
I think for they're maybe going to go more the route of just saying, hey, yeah, you can get it on all platforms, but if you come to us, guess what? It's going to be on Game Pass day one.
Well, you see, yeah, that's what I was gonna say. I mean, it's like, yeah, you could if you're a PlayStation owner, yeah, you're gonna spend $90 for the game, but hey, like, yeah, that's a way of dragging people on. Say, okay, PlayStation owners, cool, you know, you can have the game, you can still have it on your platform, you can still
Right.
play online. Warzone, obviously, it was multi-platform anyway. Not
Right.
multi-platform, sorry, cross platform.
Cross platform.
As
Yeah.
far as so that I get, but obviously you're not going to win. Like if we're going to go into the console war, you're not going to win the war just by saying, "Oh, okay, well, we spent $70 billion on a studio. Let's just put it on everything." You know, obviously you want to have some. How can I say it? You want to have some sense where you're going to try to drag people somewhat away and onto whether it would be on a computer or maybe buying an Xbox. I mean, there's nothing wrong with having both PlayStation and Xbox. So
For sure.
so I mean, I think on a business sense at least for Call of Duty, because that's the one that makes the most money. Let's face it,
Mhm.
that would make sense. Having it cross-platform for now. Who knows in the future what's going to happen? Who knows what's going to happen once the buyout gets approved?
Right. So all this talking is, obviously with we were mentioning the FTC looking into things. They have to say certain things a certain way. Hey, no, we're not trying to monopolize the company or whatever. But once ultimately everything does go through, which I think we mentioned it was maybe around June-ish of
June
2023.
Yeah, yeah. June 2023 would be when it would go through. Yeah.
So then I think after that, all the gloves are off. They can really do whatever they want. Um, I think this whole console war thing is a thing of the past, though. We've been talking about this console war since obviously Xbox and PlayStation. Xbox came out with the original Xbox. It was a console war for the longest time, but I think at this rate, I don't know. At least I feel maybe the direction that Xbox wants to go is not necessarily my platform is better than your platform. It's more my platform has more gaming companies, so it's going to be on your platform anyways, but you're going to have to give us a cut,
Well,
a more a bigger cut.
yeah.
Maybe.
Well, the message even from Phil Spencer has always been uh, the best place to play is Xbox, whether that would be streaming, PC, or console. So
Right.
that's what it is. That's basically what the message has been for a while, and I think that's what Phil, at least for what he said in interviews, that's what it looks like he's kind of going towards, right? But
I mean,
uh, as far as what you're saying, I mean, how can I say it? It's like you spent a, a shit ton of money to develop these consoles, so to just immediately almost disregard, and you have an opportunity to gain a pretty big footprint in market share, to just make everything that Activision has multi-platform, I think doesn't make sense. Call of Duty, okay, fine,
right.
make it multi-platform, but games like Crash Bandicoot, I would say I would keep it exclusive.
Cool.
I would make Diablo 4 exclusive, and like I said earlier, I would definitely make um, World of Warcraft on PC on Game Pass without a subscription service like it is now on the BattleNet. We have to pay like I think $12 or $15 a month. Aside from having to purchase the game, you actually have to pay to play. I mean, World of Warcraft lost a lot of players due to a lot of the free to play games, whether it would be, PUBG,
Fortnite.
for Fortnite and Apex. They lost a lot.
Mhm.
So if you can make World of
Destiny.
Warcraft,
Well,
yeah,
Destiny was
yeah. Well,
free
that's
at some
that's
point, so
it recently became free. It wasn't. You had to actually buy the game. Now it's the expansions you have to pay for, but the base
right.
game is free. So if you're able to make World of Warcraft free like you just have it on Game Pass, or if people could buy, if they could say you don't want to have Game Pass, buy the software digitally or physically, but you don't have to pay a subscription on top of the fact that you have to pay. That's just going to bring in it's going to bring back World of Warcraft, I think, to where it once was, because it was like here, and then all of a sudden, games like the free to play games just boom, it's shot down big time. So that's an
Right.
opportunity for Microsoft to gain players back on their side. Say, hey, this was once a really big popular game. It kind of took a sidetrack. Now who knows? I mean, it's that's me. That would be like, I guess, I would say, like, my fantasy booking, if you will, if I were in control,
Mhm.
where you could kind of move around the pieces. But
Right.
I mean, look, we'll see what happens once the deal gets finalized. And
That's
here's
it.
another thing too. I mean, just to bring this up, you know, a lot of Sony fanboys are probably bitching about this buyout, or they bitched about, like I said earlier, Aaron Greenberg posting a Twitter on his Twitter feed, him and Crash Bandicoot side by side, and all of a
Right.
sudden it was in an uproar. It's almost
Right.
like insinuating that Crash Bandicoot's going to be exclusive. I'm sorry, but
Well, that's
let's
what he's doing though.
but
He is
that's fine.
insinuating that.
That's fine, but let's go back to last generation. You remember playing a game called Sunset Overdrive?
Yes. Yes.
Okay, Sunset
That was
Overdrive
fun.
was made by Insomniac. Okay,
Right.
for the Xbox exclusively. Insomniac got bought out by PlayStation, and they made Spider Man. Is Spider Man on the PlayStation? No, it's not.
Right.
So, why is it everyone in an uproar, or would be at least a lot of the Sony fanboys in an uproar over this buyout? Let's face it, Spider Man was a huge game on the PS4, big seller.
Right. Right.
So, but no one's complaining about it. No Xbox fans are really bitching and complaining about Spider-Man not being on Xbox. And now all of a sudden, with the possibility of maybe Crash Bandicoot being exclusive, it's like, oh my god, it's the end of the world. So
Well,
it's
I think it's just because of the nostalgia from Crash. Crash on PlayStation, right? Crash, that's where Crash grew up. Well, again, granted, Xbox wasn't a thing yet, but that's ultimately where Crash grew up in '96 on PlayStation, the first one. It's always been a PlayStation brand for so long, until what, the last 3-4 years,
well,
with
longer than that, because Naughty Dog sold the rights to Activision,
oh snap, okay,
because it was a Naughty
yeah,
Dog. Naughty Dog was the ones that came out with Crash. It was their game. And
right.
then you saw Crash showing up on the Wii. You saw it on the OG Xbox. You saw it on the GameCube. So they just opened up Crash to
Oh
a bunch
wow,
of
I
different
didn't realize
players.
Crash was on GameCube.
Yeah, I think it's the Wrath of Cortex. The Crash
Oh
Bandicoot, the
wow.
Wrath of Cortex was a version on the GameCube. Wasn't a very good version, but it was on obviously the PS2, original Xbox, and there was Crash games on Wii. So that's
Oh wow.
that's
Okay, so
mainly
it's
due
been
to
a hot minute
Activision.
then. Okay.
Yeah, that's due to Activision, because if it was a Naughty Dog, if it was still a Naughty Dog exclusive, after Sony acquired Naughty Dog, there's no way you would have seen Crash on any other platform. So
Right.
so the fact that now it might be exclusive, I mean, it's like, let's not make a big deal out of it. You know,
No, that's fair. I mean, I really love that Nintendo took Crash too. Microsoft has a good working relationship with Nintendo, so I mean, I'm also a guy that has both console, all three consoles. So
right?
for me, I'm good anywhere I go. Um, I just like, for instance, with Bungie as well, though, right? With Sony buying Bungie, they're taking the same route with Microsoft, whereas they're still considering Bungie to be just completely independent. Although, yes, we own them now. However, you can do whatever you'd like, and it's going to be on all platforms. Bungie's CEO had mentioned something along the lines of that this is going to allow us to just be able to collaborate more and be on more devices and platforms. Meanwhile, also getting I think they were talking about wanting like a series or a movie made. Obviously, with Sony, this month alone, they have Uncharted, and then they're gonna have The Last of Us come out. Sony does that, of course, because Sony
Right.
has their own movie distribution company, so they're doing that. So, but Bungie has mentioned, and even I think don't quote me here, but I even Sony has also mentioned too that it's not going to be Sony exclusive for Bungie. So
Well,
Destiny
it's
will still
yeah,
be on, you know.
yeah, but going back, that's fine and that's okay. But kind of like what I said about Activision, any other future releases that are outside both Call of Duty and Destiny, the studios never said anything about anything else we come out with.
Right.
Because let's not forget, codename Spartacus, which is Sony's answer to Game Pass, is set to come out sooner or later. So what does that mean? You're going to tell me that Sony spent $4 billion on a studio and they're not going to have anything that's exclusive to their streaming service? Which brings me back to my point. Game Pass is well, not streaming service, but like, download or whatever the case
Right.
may be.
Yeah, yeah.
So, which brings me back to my
Subscription
previous
service.
point. Yeah. So it brings me back to my previous point where is it a big deal that stuff is going to be made exclusive on Xbox that to gain people in more and more people into Game Pass, the same way Sony's going to do it with the codename Spartacus. It's the same thing. At the
Right.
end of the day, it's a
Yeah.
business. You're not going to rebrand your gaming streaming or platform because that's what they're doing essentially. Like you said, PlayStation Now was, I mean, up and I wouldn't say a complete failure, but by you recreating this and kind of a true competitor to Game Pass, you went to go buy out a big popular studio like Bungie, all their IP that comes with it, not just Destiny, but anything else. Who says that it's not going to be exclusive on PlayStation?
Right. And yeah, I guess it might be really too early to tell with them having to undergo a bunch of different things. We don't know the contracts, obviously, too. Is it written in stone under the contract that, hey, we can go anywhere we want for these many years and so on and so forth. So we'll have to wait and see. But I don't see necessarily I feel Xbox and Microsoft are really going into this. Like recently today, I just literally took my iPad, went on the Xbox app, okay, and I was streaming through my iPad just to see how it was. I honestly think, and it was pretty good. It worked pretty fine. Obviously, PS4 has that as well. But I think Microsoft is really going into this realm of I just want to be able to be the one who provides you everything you're going to play in the sense of the devices that you use, because sort of ordeal. At the end of the day, you're going to be clicking on an Xbox logo to be able to stream it onto this and that and that and that. Or you're going to be seeing our Xbox Microsoft logo on anything that you really buy. It's kind of going to be like a takeover in that regard. And that's why I think they don't necessarily want to make a whole bunch of exclusives aside from doing that Game Pass fiasco, like you did mention. Not exclusive to Xbox, but it is free with the subscription on Game Pass. Only $15 a month, and you'll get it for free. Just download the DLC. Hey, heck of a lot better than paying $90. We're kind of
For sure.
almost saying the same thing, but I just feel like Phil Spencer has um, this a more grander idea than to just win the console war. You know what I mean? It's more just I want Xbox on everything. I don't
Well,
care if it goes on Nintendo or this or that. I want Xbox on everything. At the end of the day, you're going to see Microsoft Studios or Xbox with whatever game you play on any
if
platform.
if Sony's thing fails, and then they kind of work out a deal where Game Pass is on PlayStation, then I understand that. But alluding to I want to just bring up a point to what you just said earlier about, maybe Microsoft not wanting to have like it's almost like they want all their things, they want people to just navigate to all their products. There's another company that wants you to do the same thing too. It's called Apple, and I think it's worked pretty well for them. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? So so
Absolutely.
to stay on the gaming front, it's yes, obviously Game Pass. The goal is to have it on as many devices. Now they're talking about having it on smart TVs.
Oh yeah,
Obviously, yeah, having like an app on smart TVs. Maybe having eventually a dongle of some sorts that you can plug in, like kind of like a Fire Stick or
Chromecast.
a Chromecast, something like that.
Oh
Um,
wow. Okay.
but I think that obviously that's still too early because a lot of people don't have the luxury of like really fast internet. So uh, that's the long term goal. Especially if hardware becomes a thing of the past. Event, what is what you would think is going to happen. You know, where you would
Right.
just have a dedicated service. It's called Xbox. It's not a, but how do you go from having a studio or having something called Xbox box being in the name and not actually having a device? You know what I mean? Of some sort, like no console. I mean, I
Device.
find
The
that's going
device
to be
is
weird.
shaped as a box. The device is shaped as a box, and that's your Xbox. I'm going to put my Xbox onto my TV, kind of thing.
Yeah,
It's going to be
I
more of
get
a
that.
brand than a gaming company. They're
Yeah,
looking further than they're still going to make games. Microsoft is going to make the games, but Xbox is going to be your Apple. I
yeah,
think is what it's
I
trying to do.
sure, but to go on what you just said, it being a brand, if you're gonna make this a brand, aren't you gonna want to sell your brand as much as you can, and then by doing so, make it to have something exclusive to your brand? You know what I mean? So yes, you want to partner with whoever you want to partner to play nice with other people, but if you want people to buy into your brand, you have to give them something that other than just hey, you can play our stuff anywhere. It's if you want
Right.
people to buy into your brand, you have to give them a reason to want to buy into your brand. And so right now in the future, who knows? We can't,
Right.
obviously we can't tell what's going to happen in the future. But right now, if I'm going to want to have now, I think it's around 30 million subscribers that Game Pass might have, maybe a little bit less. Could be wrong.
Well,
But obviously, if you want to gain and grow that number as much as you can, you know, okay, fine. Put Call of Duty on Game Pass. Let Sony players pay $90 for it. All right.
yeah.
You know, what was that going to happen in the long run? I think either PlayStation owners are going to get a gaming PC or they might get an Xbox. Those are the two things that will probably happen.
I don't know, man. There's a lot of people who literally just wait all year just to buy a Call of Duty, and that's it. That's all they play. Like they're just hardcore COD gamers. They'll pay $100, and now there's talk with Call of Duty 2. Apparently, they're revamping it from the ground up.
Yeah,
You
I
heard
think
about
there's
that?
yeah, I don't know if it's going to be a remaster or a Modern Warfare 2 because they remade Modern Warfare, I think 2019 if I'm not mistaken.
Hmm.
So I think they're kind of like I don't know if it's you can say a remaster or a remake of some sorts the Modern Warfare games. But
Right,
as we've seen a lot lately, it's a lot of remasters and remakes, so it's nothing crazy. It's not really or that crazy original.
right.
What would be interesting to see is where they go from Vanguard. I mean, are you going to stick with the World War II theme again, or are you going to go into the future again? Are you going to make it a little bit more modern? No pun intended. So,
Why
who
don't they
knows with
make
Call
like
of Duty?
I'm surprised they haven't tried to make like almost like a Civil War kind of theme.
Maybe, yeah, maybe go really way back. Yeah, it's possible. I mean,
Like
Battlefield did it. Okay, maybe not that far, but they did World War One. So
right.
they went a little bit back. I mean, with kind of like real battles that actually happened. So that was interesting. What
Hmm.
Battlefield did. I'm more intrigued, honestly, as intriguing as the buyout is. I'm more interested to see what Microsoft's going to do with Blizzard because Blizzard. Yes, you've had games like Diablo on console, but what are they going to do with the other IPs? Whether it will be StarCraft,
Right.
that have been traditionally PC only software. Like I said, my with World of Warcraft, it's like I'm more interested on what they're gonna do with Blizzard than anything else.
Hmm. Okay. I mean, I don't know. I almost feel like those kind of games onto console isn't great, though. You know what I mean? When you have, okay, this is not even, these games are far superior than, but like I had recently just played like Command and Conquer or something Conquer Strike 4 or something, and it was
Hmm.
on console. And I'm just like, man, this is just not as fun as if you were to play it on a PC. I need a mouse. You know what I mean? I don't want to use my controller kind of thing to navigate through a strategy game like that, or going back old school with Age of Empires. You know what I mean? As much as
Yeah.
I would love to see that on console, because I love Age of Empires, I wouldn't get the same kind of feel for it. You know what I mean? I don't know, but maybe it's just because last time I played, it's nostalgia for me. Last time I played was with the mouse and keyboard and whatever. I don't
Well,
know.
Diablo works on console.
Yeah,
Diablo works fine, and I bought Diablo 3 on Xbox. Works good. And obviously, with your mouse with a keyboard, you have all these hotkeys and all these programming things you can do, and whether you're like with weapons, you can easily choose weapons. But more and more that you're able to plug a mouse and keyboard. I mean, Razer has a wireless mouse and keyboard set for Xbox. You know what I mean? So it's
right.
like so. I think more and more that, and PlayStation's been for years that they've supported mouse and keyboard on their console. So
Right. I guess, yeah, but I guess if someone's at a desk, cool story. You know what I mean? But usually I would imagine people are more in their living rooms or in
right,
their rooms and they're sitting down playing, like far away kind of thing. You don't have a hard desk in front of you. Which, whatever, I guess if you want to play that game, you're gonna need to go sit at a desk with a
yeah.
keyboard, you know. Unless
No,
they try to
there's
find some
experience.
innovative.
Yeah, there's experiences for every situation. So it's
Yeah.
I think that's why we can go on and on about the Activision possibilities. Whereas with Bungie, it's almost like, okay, you can't make Halo because it doesn't belong to you anymore.
Right.
You're gonna come up with maybe another Destiny patch, maybe a more of a true next gen
Do they
Destiny.
only have Destiny? Is that the only thing they have though?
Pretty much, yeah. I mean, like I said, there's I don't know. I think it was during our technical difficulties. Bungie's been known to make games for the Mac. I think they have
Right.
they had a game called Marathon that was a Mac exclusive. Is that something that they could come out with and maybe remaster or kind of reintroduce? That's their IP, maybe, and they can that. And I mean, that could be PlayStation exclusive. Who knows? But
Right.
other than Halo, really, I mean, it's now this Destiny because I could assure you if they had more under their belt as far as IPs are concerned, the buyout would have been way more than just 4 billion. That's for sure.
Right.
I mean,
Okay.
Minecraft sold to Xbox for 2.5, and look how big Minecraft is. You know what I
Right.
mean?
Okay. That's fair.
And Mojang just has Minecraft.
Right.
So I mean, Bungie is a well known studio, but I mean, outside of
I'm
Halo,
actually
it's
surprised it's not wasn't more expensive than that. I mean, 2.5 billion is still a lot. Like, but
yeah,
that's a
yeah. No,
really
it's
popular game. That's a money grabber regardless. You know what I mean?
Minecraft. Oh yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. No, it's. I mean, I think. I mean, the other acquisition, like we stick with, like, kind of like to stay on about the buyouts. The Zynga purchase, the buyout from Take Two.
Take two.
I don't. I don't really think it's. Eh.
Well, Take Two makes what?
We'll take a Rockstar game like Grand Theft Auto is
Oh, okay.
the 2K games. Like I know you can't wait to play WWE 2K22.
Oh, I'm waiting. I'm waiting. I spent
So
too much
that's
money
all
on that
under.
deluxe for
Yeah,
20. So
yeah. So the NBA, obviously the NBA games.
okay.
Not word on the street is now they might get the FIFA license. It's gonna leave EA.
Right, because apparently FIFA wanted like 10 million or 10
They
billion
want
or
a
something.
billion. They want $1 billion for EA to use the FIFA title, but they've used the FIFA title for the last what almost 30 years. You
That's
know what
it.
I mean?
They're
So
just like, bro, we don't want you to make our games anymore. Get the fuck out.
well, it's like Konami that makes the soccer game is just called eFootball. It's not even called Pro Evolution Soccer anymore. It's just eFootball. is, are they still going to retain the FIFA licensing and just
Right.
not call it FIFA anymore? Who knows? But I mean, if Take Two gets the licensing for that, but other than that, the Zynga buyout is just like, okay, you own a shit ton of mobile games. Okay,
Right.
but that's, I mean, in my opinion, that's what it is. It's like, okay, you bought Zynga, you bought a bunch of mobile games. All right.
That's it. I mean, I don't know. They might have something in their mind. Maybe they want to make like a. I don't know. You know what I mean? Maybe they want to start adding more DLC for maybe mobile games. It'll, okay, let's make it a, I don't know, Grand Theft Auto thing. You know what I mean? Let's make it a skin
Yeah,
here, make more money from that. Maybe make Grand Theft Auto on mobile. You know what I mean? I don't know, like a shittier version, of course.
I
But
think I think San Andreas, wasn't San Andreas released on iOS?
oh, was it? Oh
I
Jesus,
think
no.
so.
Oh,
I think San Andreas was released on Android and iOS. I think
oh wow.
so. Yeah, I think I'm
Oh,
fairly certain it was.
I'm
But
gonna
oh, there
check
you
that out
go.
as we speak.
Why don't you whip out your phone there, Justin?
Yeah, and
But
that's it. Exactly.
yeah, when it comes down to it, there's a reason why when you're slapping a buyout with a price tag of over 70 million, that's the one that's going to make the news. No matter what,
For
that's the
sure.
one that's going to grab attention. So
Well, it's a lot of games, man, and we talked a little about Warcraft, but I think at one point, World of Warcraft was the highest grossing game, period. Right? So, yeah, like a bunch of people were really into World of Warcraft. And this was StarCraft. I don't know. I don't play either,
Warcraft,
but
yeah,
I
it was
believe it was
WoW.
World of
It was
Warcraft
it was WoW.
as
Yeah,
well.
yeah.
Yeah.
But
So
free to play killed that.
yeah,
Free to
yeah,
play
which
killed
is
it.
still shocking because World of Warcraft is still fairly different from like your Fortnite ish. You know what I mean? It's more shooting oriented. World of Warcraft was more. I feel like there was more RPG into it. No.
Yeah, it's an MMO. I mean, it's your RP. I guess so. Yeah, it's still a big MMO, but now you lost a big player base because of the free to play stuff.
It was Vice
So
City. That was on.
it was Vice City. Okay,
Oh, and San Andreas.
yeah, that's what I thought. Yeah, yeah,
Oh wow, $9.99 if you want San Andreas on your phone.
yeah.
They even have the Chinatown Wars, Grand Theft Auto. Yeah, San Andreas and Vice City. Huh, interesting. Or you could play
And
San Andreas on your Game Pass and have it remotely play it on your phone too at the same time.
there you go. There you go. So it's yeah. I mean, I'm looking forward to seeing, like you said earlier, the relationship what they have with Nintendo. What kind of what are they going to bring for Activision and Blizzard on? Well, I mean, Diablo was on Wii on Switch. Sorry, Diablo
Mhm.
was on the Switch. So
Have you played that on the Switch? I was always curious to how that ran on the Switch.
it ran pretty well. I mean, the resolution isn't as good, obviously. I think it's like
Right.
480p maybe on Switch.
Okay.
But I think I played a demo of it and it ran okay. I mean, the Switch is not a. What's going to be interesting for Nintendo now is if the Steam Deck is successful. Because if
Yeah,
the
that's it.
Steam
That's
Deck
what they're more concentrating on.
if the Steam Deck is successful, is that going to push Nintendo to release a Switch 2? Or they're just going to say, "Hey, let's just put out Metroid, let's just put out some other Mario game. Let's
That's it.
force Breath of the Wild on the market." And that's going to
Right.
sell a shit ton of copies, right? That'll sell other consoles. That'll sell a bunch of
Absolutely.
copies, and Nintendo will make their money with that. You know, but having, let's say, some form of Call of Duty on Switch, sure, that makes sense. It's not going to be the same thing. It won't be the same thing like it is on console, but that's okay. Being able to
Right.
play a Call of Duty on the go, sure, why not?
Yeah, that would be pretty fire and make it halfway decent. I'm down for. I mean, Nintendo does good. But yeah, if Steam Deck, it's quite a pricier. Well, I guess it's almost the same comparable. It's maybe like $150 cheaper, more expensive than the Switch rather, but
Well, I mean,
it's
you can
a
play your
crazier
Steam
machine though.
library. Yeah, I mean, look, it is. I don't. I know it's expensive, but I mean, the fact that you can play your Steam games on the go,
Right.
it's not a. It's a pretty. That might be an interesting sell. You know?
And then with you mentioned game earlier, you mentioned Game Pass potentially maybe going to Steam, being available
Yeah,
on Steam would be crazy
yeah,
too.
that's
So
yeah, that's something that Gabe Newell, who's the I think the founder president of Valve, had said. So that could be interesting too. That's another thing that I mean, Activision games are traditionally on Steam, but now having them on Game Pass, who knows? Who knows what kind of deal they could work out? Who knows?
I mean, even the Switch is now playing around with cloud gaming. Maybe Game Pass on the Switch kind of thing. If you're
That
doing it through the cloud,
yeah,
I mean, you would have to have a lot of the game on the cloud where it doesn't touch your hardware, but I still would feel the output wouldn't be as good because you're still using the same hardware, right? So I don't know
well, I mean,
exactly how.
it's streaming, so I don't know. I don't know if the hardware would play that much of an effect to it. I'm sure it does to a certain degree. I'm not that too technical on that regard of how
Mhm.
streaming works on depending the hardware,
Right,
but that's an interesting thing. But it kind of defeats the purpose of what the Switch kind of is, because the Switch is
right,
obviously part handheld, part console. So streaming serves the purpose if you're if you have it docked. But if you're on the go, unless you're tethering from your phone,
right.
then which I don't think a lot of people are going to do because you're going to burn through your data like in no time.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's a lot of interesting things coming out, man. I mean, just thinking about it, it's like, oh my god, there's so many different possibilities. I could be completely wrong in everything I said,
Oh,
and
that's it. And we've is it I just don't want it to be also at the same time too collaborative in the sense where everyone's just playing nice with each other too. You know what I mean?
right,
It's just I just fear then that also creates um an abundance of lackluster content because but then I don't know because with gaming it's different. We've never really seen we've seen Microsoft partner with Nintendo, but not like to an extent of a full fledged collaboration. Um, but we've never really seen technically something like this happen. And now with the cloud, apparently Sony is supposed to be using Microsoft's own cloud service. No, Azure,
yeah, Azure, yeah, they're gonna. I think their the project Spartacus is supposed to be using Azure, yeah,
and that's what Game Pass is on now. No,
yeah,
technically, yeah. So uh I think that console war mantra or that tagline, if you will, is slowly fading away. It's no longer really a console war, but a console partnership, which I guess is great for the gamers. It's just I really do fear uh the content eventually getting lackluster in that regard. Like I like the
yeah,
fact that certain games, certain consoles have certain games. It's exclusive to that, and so on and so forth. Sure, I own all three consoles, but I don't want to be playing Mario on PlayStation. You know what I mean? I don't want to be playing Halo on PlayStation. I don't want to play Gran Turismo on Xbox. I want to play my Forza on Xbox. You know what I mean? I don't sort of ordeal. Um, but and that's why I'd mentioned I'm thinking Phil Spencer's thinking more of a brand. But again, what do we know? We're just gamers who like to play, and we don't know what they think. They might be thinking a mile a minute on why they did what they did. But I mean, to get Activision, I feel if you had that kind of money, anybody would pay full fledged price for that because just having those games under your belt, you're going to get a bunch of coin. Crash has a following, Call of Duty has a following, World of Warcraft has a following, Candy Crush has a following. That's a money grab there for that too for King, and there's just so much content there, and yeah, it's why it's 86 billion or 80 billion dollars. So
well, yeah. Well, it's like, okay, fine. You want to disregard the console wars? Okay, it's a thing of the past. Maybe it's going to turn into a platform war because like it's like you just alluded to earlier. You don't want to
Mm.
play Gran Turismo on Xbox. You don't want to play Halo on a PlayStation. You don't want to play Mario. So you're having, so those experiences become exclusive to that platform, whether it's on a form of hardware or whether it's on the internet. So regardless of how you're playing it, at the end of the day, those kind of experiences are exclusive to that platform. So exclusivity, I think, and not just outside of this deal, a lot of people on the internet bitch and complain about exclusivity, but it's been around for years. Every platform, every company has something that's exclusive to them. Can you use FaceTime on an Android phone? No.
Right.
You know what I mean? Can you download a FaceTime app on the Google Play Store? No. You need an iPhone for that. You know what I mean?
Right.
So and FaceTime's a big video conferencing thing. So you know what I mean? It's
Eh,
not
Yeah.
that far fetched. It's not that far fetched to say, "Oh my God, something that I would love to play is only on one platform." It's been like that for years. Other than some
Right.
obscure Nintendo games that were released on a Philips console years ago, if you wanted to play Mario or Zelda, you needed a Nintendo console.
Right.
It's, I mean, we're going back over 30 years ago now.
Yeah.
You
That's
know,
it. No, and ultimately that's why Nintendo is so successful, right?
yeah,
Imagine, I think there was rumored 10 years ago or something that Nintendo was going to work with Microsoft and release Mario on or release some kind of Mario form on Xbox or something. It took them so long just to have Mario run on the Android and iPhone. You know what I
yeah.
mean? That was in talks for so long. I remember that being a thing. And I'm like, why haven't they done it already? Mario Kart, finally. I wasn't crazy on the mobile, but I think it's still kind of cool. But Mario Kart was finally released on the mobile. And I was like, okay, but they still kept to their guns. And that's honestly the Mario games. And then remastering Mario games and Zelda and all that. And re-releasing their exclusive titles from 64 and whatever. What's that one that everyone played that now Dream Quest? No, not Dream Quest. It's now on like the Super NES thing, and it was like a really popular game, and it went for like $300 at the time.
Dragon Quest,
Was it Dragon Quest?
or is it
Yeah,
Earthbound?
Earthbound. That's it. Earthbound. You know what I
Earthbound, yeah.
mean? They finally had just released that as like, oh, now you have to get the subscription to get this. You can't get Earthbound anywhere else, kind of thing. So, exclusivity is a makes sense. You have to, as a brand, you do have to do that. I just don't know with the existing titles if they will. If Activision makes new stuff, yes, it may be exclusive to Xbox or something. But with
Yeah.
existing content, I don't see Call of Duty, I don't see Crash, I don't see Diablo, but I'm just saying legit new content that they have created. If they make like a active war civilization or something, kind of thing.
Yeah.
It's like a new game exclusive to
Yeah.
Xbox. But Xbox does have that niche of Game Pass.
But
Hey,
that's,
get it
yeah.
everywhere
Yeah.
else. We're just kind of restating everything we've said. But just to that point, yeah, and then you would have to pay $90 on PS5 or whatever have you to get it, kind of thing.
Which brings back to what I said. You're dragging people into your platform. Simple as
Yeah,
that.
simple
Okay.
as that.
Put it on Nintendo. Put it on PlayStation. Fine. You have to pay to play for it. You have to pay the $90 or whatever it is, depending on where you live. You pay
Right.
9 to $16 or 12, $16 a month, whatever it is. Guess what? You get to play it for free.
That's it.
Which
You
is
don't own it,
what do you
but you get to play it for free.
what's that?
You don't own it, but you do get to play it for free. Because
Well,
some of the
yeah.
times they do get off a Game Pass, right? So
But okay, so if you want to own it, you buy it at a discount because you're a Game Pass subscriber. So you're still going to be paying less than a PlayStation user, regardless.
yeah,
Okay.
that's fair. Still so mad
So
about Red Dead Redemption. Oh, it was on Game Pass, and then like I think it was like a month. It was only on Game Pass, and it got removed.
yeah,
So mad.
and it's like, look, you said it earlier. I mean, you talked about Nintendo. Nintendo's had exclusivity for the last 30, over almost 40 years.
Oh,
You know what I mean? Okay, you want let's forget about the mobile games. That's like just like whatever. They're not even. It's not even like you can't even say it's a legit Mario game. They're just suited for mobile because it's like, oh hey, like button press, touching on the screen to do something, or I
right.
mean I wouldn't even count those as you okay, fine, you can say that it's a Mario game on another platform. I don't wouldn't count that. You know,
Okay.
um, but let's face it. Breath of the Wild 2, you're not going to be playing it on anything else. You need a Switch.
Right. Yeah.
I guess
Exactly.
that's it. That's exclusive. So like, and what I was saying, what you were saying earlier about what you heard about maybe some form of Nintendo game coming on Xbox, that would make sense because let's face it, Minecraft has been on Switch for a few years now, quite a while.
Hmm.
Banjo Kazooie was a downloadable character on Smash Brothers, which
Right.
Banjo's owned by Xbox. You know, so the that those kind of partnerships make sense because I would love to see Mario Brothers running an Unreal Engine 5 in resolutions that you've never seen and you will probably never see on a Nintendo console.
Right.
Will Nintendo ever do that? Maybe if the money's right. At the end of the day, it's all about money. You know,
Yeah,
so
if they yeah, but the problem is once you see that Mario in that Unreal, there's no way you'll be able to go back to the Switch. You know what I mean? Like, yes,
yeah,
it's still going to be cartoon Mario. It's not going to be like a overly realistic like Snake. You know what I mean? Where it's going to be a human Mario who's kind of whatever. It's still going to
no,
be
no,
a
no. It'll
cartoonish
it'll be
Mario,
cartoon. Yeah, it'll
but
be
it's
still
just
that
going to
that. Yeah, well,
go ahead.
you can actually YouTube a video. Mario is Unreal, I think, and it's someone who created basically Mario 64 running an Unreal Engine,
Oh,
and
snap. Okay.
you playing that. I would like if I could be playing a Mario game that looks like that. Holy shit, sign me up today! Like I would want to play it right away. You know what I mean? It's crazy, but you would
Oh,
never play something like that on the Nintendo console. But I know we're kind of going off the topic of it. But
no, that's fine.
hey, who know? Well, talking about buyouts, who knows if Nintendo goes the Sega route? And I know we've discussed this in the past in other shows. They start making hardware. You don't think there's going to be some kind of a deal struck with either Sony or Microsoft to say, "Hey, we're not making our hardware anymore. We're going to be just a software company." Who's got money to that
That's very
Nintendo is not
possible.
not that someone not that someone's going to buy Nintendo, but that if they just become a first party studio for one of those platforms, you know,
Right. That would be
if
big money. 86
yeah,
billion's not even in the figure range. That's
but
woo.
if anyone has the money though, I don't think Sony's going to shell out 80 plus billion to want to have Nintendo games exclusive. I don't think so, you know, but who knows?
I mean, I don't know. They have Spyro, they had what is it, Jax. They have those little kind of kiddie games. Banjo-Kazooie was never on PlayStation. No, so I'm confusing
No,
that. Uh, but yeah. Um, or even likewise, maybe Nintendo still kind of could even stick with the hardware per se. Like I mentioned, it looks like Xbox is going into like we were talking about them you making a casting device if that happens. You know what I mean? And just
right.
specifically being a software, who
Hmm.
knows? Maybe they'll come to a deal with Nintendo where Nintendo, love them or hate them, they are very innovative with their controls, their control sets, what they can do with that. Um, they're not the best control. Well, the Pro controller is pretty decent, but it's just because it looks like an Xbox controller or more of an Xbox controller than anything. Um,
Right.
but they're very innovative with their from their 64 to their they're the first people to ever really have a joystick per se. Um,
Yeah.
well, that's yeah. Well, PlayStation. No, PlayStation didn't have a joystick at first, though,
Yeah,
right?
they no, at first no, but I think once the N64, because the DualShock came out after the N64. So
Okay.
I think Nintendo was the first one to have a an analog an analog joystick or digital, whatever you want to say, a joystick
Mm, a console.
on a console. So it might have been on PC before. I don't think so, but yeah, I think Nintendo was the first. So yeah, they've been pioneers in a lot of innovative ways. But now we're in an age where it's about highest resolution possible, and
No, but that's what I
people are,
mean. Them making now more controllers or stuff like that or whatever have you. You know what I mean? Because it looks like because Nintendo won't. eh, Nintendo would need too much to go into. I mean, unless their 4K Switch comes out or something, and it's like they really improve on the software. Um, but I mean, I don't know. I don't think they need to. They're kind of just like, well, we don't need to. We make enough money as is.
yeah,
You
they're
know,
content. They're content just being in their bubble.
that's it.
Yes, they partner with other companies. That's okay. They partner with Microsoft with Minecraft and so on and so forth. But is it going to be a point in time where it's just almost like how much more innovative could you be with your controls? Because there's going to be a point in time where it's just like, okay, I spent $4,000 on a 4K TV and I'm still playing games that are not higher than 1080p. You know what I mean? So what great value now you've essentially successfully turned what not necessarily what they wanted the Wii U to be, but you have a your controller, which is like a tablet. That's
Mm,
your main console as well. How much more? What more further can you get than that? The only thing you can do is just have an upgraded version to that, like a 4K Switch, right?
right.
That's what it is. So that's why I still firmly believe that not now, not anytime soon, because they're still successful with the Switch. But there's going to
Right.
be a point in time where people are going to be like, hey, listen, I'm spending a lot of money on a TV. I want to get the best out of my purchase. Well, right now, there's only two consoles that you can do that with, and the choices are obvious.
Yeah. Series X and PS5.
Yeah, that's what it is. So it's yeah. I mean, Nintendo's a mystery. Nintendo's always going to be a mystery because you never know what they're going to do.
You don't. And
You
that's what I
don't.
love about them though, because they no matter what, they still manage to try to be innovative and they're not trying to compete. They're in their own realm and they do their own thing and they still sell like hotcakes. They're good. You know what I mean? They made the OLED. The screen was just like the screen is better, I guess. It's just more brighter, more vibrant colors, and the spacing was they had more storage space and
Yeah,
that
double the
sold like
storage. Yeah.
hotcakes. Double the storage. When in reality, you could just get okay. I guess the color, the more vibrant colors was cool and whatever. But I mean, to fork out another $500-600, no, no bueno. If it was 4K and maybe a few other little added features, cool, I'm in. But but that's still selling like hotcakes. People are just die hard Nintendo till the
Actually,
day they die.
for sure. But I think it's easier to find honestly now from what I've seen in stores, it's a lot easier to find a Switch OLED than the regular Switch because there. I mean, unless you're like I said, you're a like you said, if you're a diehard Nintendo person, that okay, fine, you're gonna buy the OLED. I have a
Right.
regular Switch. I'm happy with it. Do I
That's
need
it.
point 7 inches bigger on my tablet on my handheld screen with a little bit more vibrant colors? The same resolution, still 720p. That hasn't changed.
Right.
When you put it in the dock, yes, the dock has a LAN port now for internet. Still 1080p. Doesn't change. You know what I
That's it.
mean? So
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't enough to really, but Nintendo's just always been in their own bag, not competing with anybody. So let them do them in that regard. But yeah, it's very interesting. These buyouts have created a lot of questions. Seemingly a lot of collaborative talk amongst all CEOs with said buyouts. So we shall see, and only time will tell. This year, you're not going to see anything really in terms of exclusivity. It's really only going to be mid next year where we'll maybe start hearing more rumblings of what might go on with that. Because this year, you're just going to get the same old, same old. Everybody's going to be where everyone is, and that's it. Um, so yeah, it's quite interesting in that regard. While we are here talking about gamings and what's exclusive, we can also maybe mention the exclusive free games if you would like for
Sure.
PS4, 5, and games for gold. And as I say that, I forgot to have put up my list. So I did see Ghost of Shumi. It's not Shumi, but I can't pronounce it.
Tsushima.
Ghost of Tsushima was going to be on the PS4/PS5 for free. So that I was quite interested in. I didn't go and buy it yet, so going to be pretty excited to play that. Have you played it?
I have the PS5 version. Yeah,
Okay,
it's a really cool game. Yeah, I really like Ghost of Tsushima. Oh no, it's a
perfect.
Ghost Runner. Ghost Runner.
No, it's
For games, the month of
friggin'
March games is going to be Sonic Team Racing, Ghost Runner, Arc, and Legends. Oh, Ghost of Tsushima Legends. I don't know if
yeah.
that's the full. I don't know if that's the full game or it's a.
That's the DLC pack. So I think it's gonna have both. It's gonna
Okay.
come with the DLC with it.
Okay.
I would
Well,
imagine
I
you
mean,
can't just give DLC. Well, I
you
guess you
could.
can, but
You
you
could.
could.
You could. Yeah, I don't know. Because usually PlayStation Plus games, you have one PS5 game. So to have two is a bit off. It's a little bit different than what they've been doing traditionally. Unless this is like maybe a side quest, kind of like a Uncharted Lost Legacy, where it's like a side quest to
Oh, yeah, that might make more sense.
yeah that I think that might be it. I haven't heard too much about it, but yeah. So I mean, Team Sonic Racing, okay, that's a little fun game.
It was all
I
right.
never got yeah I've never gotten around Ark Survival Evolved. I mean,
Me neither.
I played the beta of it at one point, and it was like, oh, okay. Ghost Runner might be a little fun game to play. Otherwise, for Xbox, let's see, Xbox games for gold. What am I missing here?
March.
The Fame, the Flame and the Flood, Street Power Soccer, and Sacred Two Fallen Angel, and SpongeBob's Truth or Square. Now, listen, they have the luxury of Game Pass. So, do they need to have killer titles and games for gold? No, they don't.
Right.
They really
They didn't
don't.
last month either.
You know, it's been ever since Game Pass launched, the games for gold has been less and less and less quality. Have you had good games on games for gold? Sure. But you have Game Pass. So I think their games for gold is kind of like listen, game Xbox Live Gold is included in Game Pass Ultimate. So it's just added value to the package you have, you know. Whereas
That's
Sony
it.
doesn't really have anything yet. Is the PlayStation Plus, if they're free games, is that going to change once their platform comes out? I wouldn't be surprised if it does.
Yeah,
Because
exactly.
otherwise, why would people subscribe to it? They figured, maybe I'll wait a few months and it'll come out for free on PlayStation Plus. You know?
Exactly. Well, I mean, to be frank, that's what people are still kind of even doing with PS Now. There's been a few games like, oh no, I heard it was going to come out on PS Now, and in a few months I'll wait. And I don't use PS Now, but I did check it out, and I was like, oh, now they have this game now, this game, you know. So it's not they do have PS4 titles on there. It's just
Yeah,
obviously the streamable way of how it is now isn't the greatest.
Oh, they have a lot of titles that are downloaded, but it doesn't seem as polished or just as interesting to jump into as Game Pass is. It's
Yeah,
just
the layout is kind of lame too. Technically, it's I don't know. I just really maybe I'm just used to how Xbox's layout is for that in that case. Um, but it feels very. It's not enticing. Like I'm not when I look at the games, I'm
yeah,
just like, it's just. I mean, some of them are is the games themselves, but it's just not enticing. And the problem is a lot of these games, oh, but I already have this. I already have that. You had a deal on this before. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
sure, if you're not an avid buyer, and I guess I consider myself an avid buyer. I buy a lot of stuff. Um, so for me, I'm just like, well, what's the point? I don't need PS now. I have this game, that game, that game. This was on a special. This was there. This was on PS Plus free. I've been on PS Plus for so long now that a lot of those games that are there was free on PS Plus one time or another.
yeah, yeah. That's true.
You
I mean,
know,
what I like what they did is at least for PS5 users that they have the PlayStation Plus collection where you have like a lot of popular titles that were on PS4 that you can
right?
download for free. That's pretty cool. They haven't added to that, which I thought they
No,
would add it.
since its release.
No, no, it's been the same games. They haven't added to it at all. Is it?
Oh,
Could they add to it? Maybe, but
hmm.
no. I check every now and then, and I haven't seen anything really. They're good games. Like you have God of War there. There's
Right,
Resident Evil 7. The Crash Bandicoot trilogy is there. I don't know for how much longer, but
right, yeah,
so no, they have some pretty good games. There's no doubt about it. They do have good ones. They just haven't really added anything to it. So it's like you have, I think, maybe 10, 12 games. And
right.
but I mean, look, they're, you know, you, there's the old saying, beggars can be choosers. You're getting free games with your subscription. So, you know,
Exactly. Yeah,
yeah,
that's it. And good games too. So it's not just
yeah.
like, you
No,
know,
no, I have
you're
to I have
not
to hand it to them. Yeah, good games. Yeah,
um yeah, so and so an okay month for March, I guess. I don't know, in terms of free games, but just wanted to maybe give whoever's listening maybe a chance to kind of see at least if they were looking at that because we're already almost the end of February. Tomorrow is the last day of February, so
yeah. It's crazy.
I'm guessing these will be released on Wednesday, the second. So,
I think PlayStation usually releases their games not like March 1st. I think they're like
no,
maybe
but it's on the
March.
Wednesday. No, it's the
No,
Wednesday
they
of it's usually the first
yeah. I think
Wednesday
it
of
could
that
be it.
month.
It could be yeah, yeah. It's gonna be later on. I know the way Xbox does it, where they'll release two games the first 2 weeks of the month, and then the other games the last 2 weeks. But
Right.
it's like I said, the Xbox games for gold haven't been wow for a long time, but they don't need to be.
That's it. You got Game Pass there, just killing it with everything else. So,
Yeah.
um, yeah. And did you have any other kind of more breaking video game news or anything like that?
No, it's you always have these speculations on what other studio could be acquired. There's been,
Right.
especially for Xbox, I think their thing for a long time has always been the Japanese market. So it's like you want to make a dent in the Japanese market. Well, but when they bought Bethesda, they got the studio that made The Evil Within, which was created by the guy who did Resident Evil. So that's a big studio in Japan. But obviously,
Right.
if you want to get the big part of the Japanese market, I think if you go after a studio like Namco or Capcom, that's
Oof.
gonna make a bigger presence. And I mean, you go after Namco, you have Tekken. You go after
Yeah.
Capcom, Street Fighter's yours.
All right.
You know what I mean? So Warner Brothers, AT&T, who owns Warner Brothers, is like selling off all their stuff. And Mortal Kombat's owned by Warner Brothers now. Is Mortal Kombat going to be exclusive to a platform? Are they going to be bought out eventually? That's been a rumor that's been going on for a long time. Whether this is, I think, even before the Bethesda acquisition, whether Microsoft would have bought Warner WB, and you would have had all the Batman games, the Arkham games, Mortal Kombat.
Yeah.
So that's if a studio. Listen,
Why
if a
is Warner
studio has
Brothers
money,
selling so much? Why are they selling?
well,
all of this stuff?
AT&T owns Warner Brothers, which is actually Warner Brothers is actually the same studio that under the same umbrella as TBS and TNT, which is where
Right.
another podcast of yours shows AEW. So
Right.
I think it's just that they lost a shit ton of money a few years ago, AT&T, and they were just
Okay.
looking to offload a lot of stuff that was under their umbrella. WB Games being one of them, and obviously they own Rocksteady, which is they do the Batman games, and
Right.
DC is belongs to Warner Brothers. I don't see them getting rid of that, but I mean, if they get rid of their games division, it's like who's the highest bidder?
Injustice is going there. Yeah.
Who's going to be the highest bidder for that? So who knows?
No, that is quite interesting. I don't know. I feel like I know Spencer has enough money to do whatever he wants there, but man, calm down. See where this takes you first.
I would like to see him go after a Japanese studio next.
Yeah, that would be interesting. That hasn't necessarily been done aside from Bethesda, sort of, but it's not a Japanese studio. They just had
it was a Japanese studio within Bethesda, but it's not the same thing. Like if you go after like a Sega or Namco or Capcom, I mean that would make a little bit more interesting news and something more noteworthy. That's just like, oh my god, we own either whether it be Sega, I mean Sega.
I'm surprised Sega hasn't sold yet. Honestly,
yeah, I don't know. I mean, they haven't done a lot in a long time. I know there's Sonic Frontiers that's coming out that looks really, really good. But who knows? I mean, listen, E3 is not that far away. Something they could maybe there's something that's already gone on that we don't know about that'll be announced at E3. Because Microsoft still has a presence at E3 where Sony doesn't. Nintendo doesn't even have a presence at E3 anymore. Well, they have their Treehouse event, but it's not the same thing. Like they don't have a stage; they're not on stage.
Right.
So who knows? Is something going to be announced at E3? You never know.
No, that's it, and that's usually in June. No.
Yeah, it's June. Yeah,
June. So a few months away there, but yeah, that should be pretty exciting. Yeah, I don't know what Sega's been doing. I hope they have something planned in that regard. I mean, they have been releasing their stuff on all other platforms, so they've been getting their money that way, I guess. But yeah, we'll just have to kind of wait and see for them. But yeah, that is pretty much the biggest story really going on in the last through this year. Really, I mean, January hit, and then boom, throughout all of January, just. Microsoft buys this, Sony buys this, Take-Two buys that, and so a lot of money was flying out. So it'd be interesting to see what happens for the rest of the year, with of course all the games supposed to be scheduled to come out. They had a DICE Awards that just happened. Didn't really necessarily watch there, but of course E3 is the big one to watch for, and Nintendo Direct, since we did miss that as well. Nintendo Direct did showcase a few things as well. The new Mario Strikers coming out, which is a remake from their GameCube days. Good old soccer game. So a lot of exciting stuff, and we'll definitely be bringing you guys a lot more as more news rolls out, more games roll out. Hopefully we'll get a gaming stream sometime soon where we stream and maybe discuss, or just stream and have you guys look at how shitty we are as gamers.
Yeah, we're definitely not in the competitive realm. That's for sure.
That's for sure. But yeah, so that's pretty much it. I'd like to thank you guys for those who stuck through the first attempt, the second attempt, and then finally the third attempt being the charm, if you will. I guess all it needed was a little reboot. So, I'd like to thank you guys for listening, watching, and please let us know in the comments what you think. I totally did not check any of the comments, so there was none. So there was no comments. People are shy. Please don't be shy. By all means, let us know what you think. In terms of the buyout, you can of course contact us personally. Jeff, where can they follow you, bud?
You can follow me on Twitter at JT underscore 9783 on Twitter. And I mean, anyone has any topics you want to bring up to, I'm willing to go through anything, man. It's any other subjects. Yeah, that's pretty much it. I'm obviously the streaming thing would be cool to kind of get together and we have that on, and I'm looking to we start that up. That would be really cool. Be fun to do.
Well, now that I got a Series S, I'm definitely more equipped to be able to handle better games. Just got to get the better TV.
Soon.
Soon. That's it. It's coming. It's coming. And then, yeah, of course, you guys can follow me at JLB420 on Twitter. Real Talk Radio, though, is the brand. You can follow me on Real Talk Radio at Real Talk Radio 8. Anchor.fm/RTR, though, is where you can listen to the podcast. And on all your favorite streams, Apple, Stitcher, Deezer, Tidal, all of them. Spotify will not be mentioned aside from this point. And yeah, you can also see my links there. The links will be also down in the doobly doos as well, where you can follow Jeff as well as his Twitch and so on and so forth. So, like to thank you guys for listening. Definitely a great time to be a gamer with everything going on. And once again, thank you for watching and listening. We will see you next time. So look out for a post of what is coming next. You bet your butt we will be bringing it to you guys. And that is pretty much it. Jeff, thank you, good sir, for talking with me here
Thank you.
On the video games. And I'll see you soon, bud. Until the next buyout, which maybe might not be too far away.
Yeah.
So until next time, guys, ciao for now.